This is a story of boy meets girl, but you should know up front, this is not a love story.
I was sitting here smoking on that green. Yeah. Plotting on it. See, let me stop. I digress. I went already. You could tell I'm high out of my mind. But I was sitting here thinking, man, comedy is dead. Oh, yeah, it's gone, fam. You know who I blame? I blame you. I went straight Uncle Sam with it. When the last time you seen one of those?
I want to see if you can guess who it is I'm doing an impression of. All right, let me get into character. You got to guess who it is, though. Okay, here goes. If you do anything wrong in your life, and I find out about it, I'm going to try to take everything away from you. And I don't care when I find out. Could be today, tomorrow, 15, 20 years from now. If I find out, you're fucking finished. Who's that? That's you. That's what the audience sounds like to me. That's why I don't be coming out doing comedy all the time, because y'all niggas is the worst motherfuckers I've ever tried to entertain in my fucking life.
I don't blame everyone who's watching this video. Exactly. No. I just blame society. Yeah, society has turned to a bunch of baby back bitches who can't take a fucking joke. Oh yeah, I said it. And I meant it. Every single word, fam.
Just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right. I'm often asked if there's anything you shouldn't joke about, and the answer is no. There's no subject out of bounds for comedy. There's nothing you shouldn't joke about, but it depends what the joke is. Comedy comes from a good or a bad place, and I think I do deal in taboo subjects very often. I often, expose the elephant in the room, but people often make the mistake of the target of a joke with the subject of a joke, and they're not the same. No bad comes from discussing taboo subjects and I think as a comedian, my job isn't just to make people laugh, it's to make them think a bit. I want to take the audiences to places they haven't been before. Otherwise, what am I doing there? If they can do it themselves or they've heard it before, there's enough safe anodyne comedy out there, and good luck to them. But that's not what I do. They know what I do, and I'm going to do it. Having said that, someone is going to be offended by everything you say. Someone somewhere in the world will find what you say offensive. So what? Who cares?
Comedy used to be a place where you could just dig deep. You could take even the darkest moments and joke about that shit. And now people they don't want that. Nah, God forbid you just spill your soul into your art. Like, how like musicians do. Yeah, nah, we don't the artists, people that paint. Nah, you can't do that shit, man, because we're sensitive. Oh, you hurt my feelings. You told a fat joke? Oh, how dare you? Yeah, I could lose weight, but no, you just can't joke. How about that? You can't joke.
Come on, son.
People that used to just be soft ass hecklers that would just, even jump out, say some stupid shit and get their ass roasted. Oh, nah, they went from being the minority to the majority. Now the whole club is filled with hecklers, and they just like, he don't like black people. Get him. Like, you can't just yell some random shit out. And now it is what it is.
Cancel culture. It's the practice of publicly rejecting, boycotting, or ending support for people because of their morally unacceptable views or actions. Basically, it's a modern form of ostracism, which means to exclude or banish from a group or society, which dates back to ancient Greece.
This is Sparta!
Athenian leader Cleisthenes created the punishment of banishing people to prevent a single person from becoming a tyrant.
Saddam Hussein's pride.
Joseph Stalin dominated the Soviet Union.
The way they would do this is similar to our modern day elections, only no one wants to win this one. Citizens of Athens would write the name of their candidate on a piece of pottery. 6,000 votes would be cast, and the person with the largest number of votes would be banished for 10 years. If they refused, they were sentenced to death. But here's the kicker. When they came back after their time was served, it was as if nothing ever happened. Their citizenship was still theirs, and the people of Athens welcomed them back with open arms. I don't know if the same can be said about cancel culture today.
That's why we can't get good ass shows like the Chappelle Show, fam. There would never be another show like that because people are too fucking soft. Yeah, fam. Let me show you some examples of how comedy used to be. Look at this. Look at this right there. Freddie Got Fingered. That's a movie by Tom Green. Legendary motherfucker. Kind of nasty, but still legendary. Legendary for what he was doing out here in these streets. Without him, it would be a lot of people that don't even exist. Like these TikTok motherfuckers that just be going around just asking people stupid stuff and getting a little reaction. Guess who started that type of stuff? People like Tom Green. Yeah, this movie is about his younger brother being assaulted. This is a comedy movie. Think about that. Think about that. Oh, I'm not done. Mad TV. Remember that show? Yeah. They was going to all the darkness in their jokes. Fam, the first episode of Mad TV, they put a black person on the back of a pickup truck and he was dressed in a pimp outfit and they bought him along with his hoes. Yeah. Also, I think they said he was on some type of drug. If I'm not mistaken, I would have to go watch the first episode again to remember the exact drug. But fam, you see my point? And people love this show. It was actually funny. People weren't afraid to actually take comedy and do something with it. People weren't afraid of what society was going to say to them or how they was going to judge them, how it was going to ruin their careers, fam. There's some familiar faces on there. They might not have hit the big, super big leagues, but they legendary still, fam.
Now, if all of this begins to put you in mind of so-called politically correct language or politically correct speech, excuse me, then you and I are on the same track. So let's visit that playground of guilty white liberals, the land of the politically correct. In recent years, the PC folks have found some new ways of shading the truth in order to make people feel better, especially minorities. One of the newer phrases making the rounds is happens to be. He happens to be black. I have a friend who happens to be black. Oh, I see. Yes. Like it's an accident, you know. Happens to be black. Yes, he happens to be black. I see. He had two black parents? Yes, that's right. Two black parents. Yes. I see. And they had sex? Oh, indeed they did. Yeah, I see. So where does the surprise part come in? I should think it would be more unusual if he just happened to be Scandinavian. Another recently favorite term is openly gay. I have a friend who's openly gay. But that's the only minority they use that for. You know, you wouldn't say someone was openly black. Well, maybe James Brown. Yes. James Brown, yes. Or Louis Farrakhan. Louis Farrakhan is openly black. Colin Powell is not openly black. Colin Powell is openly white. He just happens to be black. And while we're at it, when did the word urban become synonymous with the word black? Did I sleep through this, perhaps? Urban styles, urban trends, urban music. I was not consulted on this at all again. Didn't get an email, didn't get a fax, didn't get a postcard. That's fine, let them go. So I would like to tell you how I handle some of these speech issues concerning minorities. First of all, I say black. I say black because most black people prefer black. I don't say people of color because it's dishonest. It means precisely the same thing as colored people, which is an insult. So if you're not willing to say colored people, you shouldn't be willing to say people of color. And besides, to me, the whole idea of color seems a bit specious, really. I mean, what should we call white people? People of no color? Isn't pink a color? And in fact, white people are not really white at all. They're different shades of pink and olive and beige. In other words, they're colored. And black people are rarely black. I see mostly various shades of brown and tan, and in fact, some light-skinned black people are darker than the darkest white people. I'm sorry, lighter than the darkest white people. Look how dark the people in India are. They're dark brown, but they're considered white. May I see the color chart, please? People of color is an awkward phrase that obscures meaning rather than enhancing it. What shall we call fat people? People of size? I also don't say African Americans. I find it cumbersome and confusing. Which part of Africa are we talking about? Egypt? Egypt is in Africa, but Egyptians aren't black. They're like the people in India. They're dark brown white people, but they're Africans. So why wouldn't an Egyptian citizen who becomes an Egyptian who becomes a U.S. citizen be called an African American? The same would apply to South Africa. Suppose a white racist from South Africa becomes an American citizen. Couldn't he call himself an African American? If for no other reason than just to bother black people. And what about a black person born in South Africa who becomes an American citizen? Is he an African American or is he a South African American? Or is he simply a South African American African American? You know, it's just so much more tedious liberal labeling. Liberals should be taught that labels divide people, and I think we could probably do with fewer labels, not more. Now, one more group, the Indians. I call them Indians because that's what they are. They're the Indians. There's nothing wrong with the word. First of all, it's important to know that Indian, that word probably does not derive from Columbus believing he had reached India in 1492. India was called Hindustan. More likely, the word derives from Columbus's description of the people he found here. He was an Italian who spoke very poor Spanish, and in his written accounts, he called the Indians una gente indios, a people in God. In God, Indios, Indians. It's a perfectly noble thing. And I simply can't justify this awkward phrase, Native Americans. First of all, they're not natives. They came here from Asia over the Bering Land Bridge. In fact, there are no natives anywhere in the world. Everyone is from somewhere else. All people are refugees, immigrants, or aliens. If there are natives anywhere, it would have to be people still living in the Great Rift Valley in Africa. So everyone is just visiting. So much for native. As far as calling them Americans is concerned, well, how can I say this? We steal their hemisphere, destroy 500 cultures, kill 20 million, stick the rest of them on the worst land we can find, and then as a special bonus, we name them after ourselves.
And what about this movie that starred my man, starred my man Zach from Saved by the Bell, Dead Man on Campus? This is about this urban legend, the way if your roommates, he 86 himself, he deletes himself from the game, you get straight A's for the semester. So Zach, which is not his character name, by the way, but him and his roommate go on an adventure finding or trying to seek the perfect roommates to off themselves, but just so they could be able to get straight A's. That's what comedy was. And guess what? That was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. Now I be watching like, dang, hey, they went there. Yikes. There's a plethora of examples, fam. Even as recent as Always Sunny in Philadelphia. What happened to that kind of stuff, fam? People just became soft. They got scared. It was snowflake season. It's snowing. I swear. Nah, it's all hot up in this motherfucker. Summertime, bitch. Yeah, I'm tired of this. I'm not gonna go by your rules. If I think something's funny, I'm gonna fucking laugh. I'm gonna say the shit. Think I care what you think? I don't. I answered that for you. I don't. Don't be corny, fam, because they life is horrible. They miserable. They end up with who they want to be with. They working a job that they don't like. They probably can't stand their kids. Every day they looking at their kids like this as they eating cereal. Just. And then they kids in turn are looking at them like, this broke mother. That's why you bald. What you say? Nothing. That's why you bald, bitch. Like, fam, that's not a life that I want to live, fam.
In July of 2009, Kevin Hart sent out a series of tweets regarding homosexuality. Fast forward to almost 10 years later, on December of 2018, Kevin Hart was announced as the Oscars host. Within hours, Twitter users began reposting Kevin's old tweets and jokes, saying that he never apologized for them, therefore should not be allowed to host the Oscars. Articles upon articles were being formed about Kevin being homophobic and unwilling to apologize for it. And on that note, Kevin Hart stepped down from hosting the Oscars and proceeded to apologize. And apologize.
I had to address it when I did Get Hard promo with Will Ferrell because of my joke that I had about my son.
And apologize.
I had to address those tweets in 2012.
And apologize.
I haven't apologized for your tweets of old. This is not the first time this has come up. I've addressed it. It's onion, so no matter how many times you keep peeling it, there is no end to it. I apologize again. I said I apologized before.
I miss the old comedy. I mentioned Chappelle's show. That show will never be able to exist in today's time. And you think Dave Chappelle doesn't know that? He's dealing with it with his stand-up specials that were nowhere near as offensive as the Chappelle show, fam. Like, the people that even give that criticism, did they never watch his work? Word? You thought he was something. You ever seen Paul Mooney? No? Shut up. You don't know shit about comedy. Shut the fuck up. Stupid. Do I go to your job and say, hey, no, we had enough. No more. We good over here. We good. No, I don't, fam, because I don't try to control people. Some things are not for me, fam. I'm aware of that. When I watch certain movies, if I see something, I'm just like, yeah, this ain't for me. I just don't watch it. We got to destroy this movie. Burn the tape. Burn the tape. That's what they be doing. And then they scream violence as they're burning the tape. Violence at anyone who tries to stop them. That just don't make no sense to me. And I'm not living like that. If you agree with me and you like your comedy to be, slightly edgy, yeah. I'm not talking Filthy Frank edgy. That was nasty. That wasn't even that. That was let's not even get into it because I like Joji. I rocks with you. Filthy Frank, put him over there. Joji, I rock with Joji. Yeah, but if you like your jokes to not have any bitch assness in it, come rock with me in the Fang game. This Cobra Kai season. Garfield too. If you don't know who that is, don't worry about it. Just get to know me. You'll meet him. He's not that bad of a guy. He is a bad guy.